Hey, I'm Cake Snake or Just Cake. I've been working on a comic idea for about 2 years now, and with that, some of my original designs for the characters feel like they need an upgrade. So today, I'm redesigning the main character of my comic. Not sponsored, but I did use Milanote after finally figuring out how to actually use it, which sounds stupid, but I can be entirely oblivious sometimes. I definitely didn't make it pretty, but it works. This is the main character, Elvira. She was born on spring break of 2024 from me messing around with the Roblox game Catalog Avatar Creator. Everyone's heard of it. I wanted to make a new avatar, and as I put more items on, I started thinking it kind of looks like a vampire hunter. Naturally, I started thinking about it more, and at the time, I had just gotten into those like historical romance webtoons. I know there's so many. Somehow I ended up thinking about making a vampire x vampire hunter story. And this would seem to fall under the romantasy category, but I hadn't been reading for a long time. So I didn't realize quite how popular and overdone this genre is until a while later. I just said screw it. Inevitably, I ended up drawing her to come up with an actual design based off the Roblox avatar. These initial sketches were not good. Matter of fact, I had not been drawing much the previous few years, so my skills regrettably were not all where I wanted them to be. However, I felt really inspired and passionate about this new idea. I drew so many concepts, ideas, and designs, and thought out the story. And when spring break was over, I even skipped a few days of school every now and then and would just be drawing ideas for this. And when I was at school, all I could think about was my new stories, my new OCs, all that. Before I even started writing the story, I was trying to design characters and their backstories, which in hindsight wasn't the smartest, because when I actually did start writing, I found out that some of the characters weren't needed, could have been designed later, or a different backstory suited them better. And on top of that, I figured out different characters that I would need for the story instead. Back to the actual character, here's some info about her that is subject to change, as is everything within the story. So, as I already said, her name is Elvira. She's about 27 years old when the story starts. And of course, she's a vampire hunter. She's also cursed, which is why her eyes look a bit strange for a human. It's a visual side effect. Her eyes are just meant to be like a reddish brown, but now she has this toxic green bit that glows faintly in the dark. And on top of that, she has powers which a regular human cannot have. Normally, they don't have powers. And her powers involve her blood. I'm so smart. Listen, I'm personally tired of MCs being younger than like 18 or like right at 18. And I like to read about older characters these days. And it's not that I won't read or watch something with an MC that age, because The Apothecary Diaries is one of my favorite shows/books. But it feels like so much media is focused around these younger characters, which I get it. It is targeted towards those kind of ages too. But even when I was that age, I wanted more media about older characters. And I mean, I made Elvira when I was 17. Elvira's design hasn't changed much over time, even now. I'm fairly sure of how I want her to look, so it's more the minor details I'm refining. Her personality, on the other hand, has changed more than her physical design. She used to be a bit more unhinged and intense, if that makes sense. Now she's a bit more withdrawn unless she's with someone she's very comfortable with, and she can be a bit messy and taunt people if she wants. So remember when I said I wanted to make a Vampire X Vampire Hunter story? Well, I did in fact design a vampire character for a what I'd like to think makes for a juicy enemies to lovers story. That's just my favorite dynamic, of course. But when you really think about it, an enemies to lovers story, especially one where it involves one group of people against another, makes for a complicated and really toxic dynamic. So, with this in mind, I needed to try and make these characters, their relationships, and their situations more complex. And overall, I do find those things more interesting. I enjoy morally gray characters more, and I personally find them more interesting too. And writing like this really calls my own morals into question. These characters don't always make good choices. Sometimes I don't even know what the best choice would be. And it's kind of changed my thinking, if that makes sense. Though I have most of the story kind of thought and written out, I'm still not sure how I want it to end yet. I have a few ideas in mind, but I don't know if they'll stick with me. I hope that now that I've actually been scripting and going into depth with the character interactions with each other and the world, the ending will just come to me more naturally. I already figured out trying to force things just does not work out for me usually. And I am by no means a writing expert. Even fourth grade me would like to think so, since she won an award for some bum ass superhero story. This is my first attempt at really trying to write something and make something. And I have had other OCs in the past, and I had random ideas for, but they never went anywhere. I mostly wanted to make animations and failed, which I do try now for my new OC's End story to make animations. It's weird to think that me hopping on Roblox to make an avatar has turned into all this. I even bought Clip Studio Paint X for a better comic making program. And it really is just like the first art program I've bought, because in the 6 or so previous years I've done digital art, I used Fire Alpaca, which is my go. I've done a lot more research than I thought I would have, from things about just making a comic and writing to the hobbies and functions of the characters, their things, and their world. It's a great learning experience, really. It really has reignited my passion in art and allowed me to have something to strive for when I had nothing else. I've never been disinvested in something in my life, really. So now I'm scrambling everything together because I'm a poor planner. Redesigning characters, designing new characters, writing the script. And here's one issue I have: where to post a comic. Initially, I was just gonna do like a webtoon and even do the scrolling format. But shortly after I even thought of making the comic, I decided I wanted to do pages instead of like the scrolling format. So kind of a bit more like manga pages, but not quite. And I decided that like just the webtoon platform in general was not suitable for what I wanted. And I got the idea from the Starfish face to just make my own website for my comic, and I was good with that. The only thing is, I don't even know where to begin on that. So that's a project I'm gonna have to work on before I can even release my comic. I was thinking I could also release it on another comic holding site still, like maybe Tapas, but I'm not sure on that. And I'd probably have to censor it, as I did include some heavy themes in my story. I'm not exactly sure if this is truly Elvira's final design. I do like it, but knowing myself, I cannot stop going back and touching things up. I already did that with this new reference sheet a bunch of times. It's a real problem I have, and it's frankly annoying. I mean, I think it looks like her, but it doesn't feel completely right. More so, her face, but I think I was just stumped for drawing that day. I do really enjoy her outfit. I love her actually. And this reference sheet is much better than her old one. That was ass. There's still more reference sheets that I need to make for her specifically. I need to make one dedicated to her weapons, like her revolvers and her dagger, and how they function. And then a reference sheet for her horse and her body and clothes that she will wear in the comic besides this main outfit you see here. This design really isn't that comic friendly, but I just couldn't help but indulge myself. Not all the vampire hunters have a western themed design in my story, but Elvira comes from a place with a western theme. And on my Pinterest, I saw so many neat western and cowboy designs. I had to snatch some ideas. It's certainly not an animation friendly design either, but I'll maybe simplify it for animations or just die trying to animate it. Plus, I'll make things where she's wearing different clothes. As far as realism and practicality, her design isn't the most practical, especially her hair. But I just really wanted a character with really long, really unnecessary hair. So at the very least, I put it into a braid, which still would likely get in her way, realistically, but I fuck with it too much. That should be it for this design, besides the other things I mentioned. I wasn't sure how in depth I should go about Elvira and her lore, but I threw in important details about her in there. If I do another video about my character designs, I'll probably do the main vampire character next. Thanks for watching and have a great day/night. Bye.